Thank you for joining us, First Sergeant. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Michael Davis, a.k.a. the Witch Doctor, and getting ready to retire in the next couple weeks. It's been a long journey, but med board finally got me.
Yeah. So when did you finally get started? Like when did you join originally?
Joined back in 85, 6 months out of high school, not knowing what I want to do with my life, and saw the commercial on TV, earn money for college, and I was like, I guess so. Walked into the recruiting office, and they were just like, yeah, come on in, we'll hook you up. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know anything about jobs. My dad was in the Army when I was born. He was stationed at Pentagon in the 60s, and but by the time I was old enough to be aware of things, he was already out, and we lived in Maine. So we never really talked about military at all growing up. Never even considered it while I was in high school growing up. And it was, I was more into girls and music and rock and roll.
Yeah. AKA the Witch Doctor, right?
Yeah.
That's where that came from, right?
Yeah, that was been my nickname,
Wow.
musician nickname for 30 years. I got something over here.
Right.
Actually, you know what? Why not?
All right, let me crack this one
We'll
open.
start with the champagne of beers.
Champagne appears.
All right, gents. I pounded some chicken wings when we started, so I really need to drink something.
Good
All
old
right,
Terry
well.
eating all the food all the time.
Always. Protein gains. Well, cheers to your retirement, First Sergeant.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers, retirement.
All right.
That's good.
The champagne appears.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't know anything about the National Guard, huh?
I didn't know anything about the Army. And the recruiters were trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I just said, pick something for me. And hey, how about be a unit supply specialist? All right. Went off to basic, Fort Knox. It was not too long after they filmed Stripes down there. So everywhere we went, drill sergeants be yelling, screaming at you, and then all of a sudden there'd be a break. Hey, over here on your left, this is where they film the scene where Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, or
Really?
was it?
Yeah, damn.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
Like so you got drill sergeants, but at the same time, they're being drill sergeants, but they're also like, hey, if you look to your left over here.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
like
trippy.
they turn it on, turn it off, just on a whim whenever they pass by something. But when we pulled into the reception station, it was the exact building that bus pulled up in front of.
wow.
It was the
That's pretty wild.
same barber shop where they had their first haircuts, and then a lot of the training sites, like the hills that we road marched up, the obstacle course that
Yeah. That's
where
pretty cool.
where the drill sergeant got shot out of the
Yeah.
out of the tower, and it was pretty cool. And
What year was this?
I was 85,
85. Got it.
and then from there I went to Fort Lee, Virginia, and to do the unit supply thing. And then the last part of that course was small arms repair, and so then I just remember being at the PX one day. The riggers school was down there too, so there were airborne paratroopers around, and I went to the PX one day and I saw a guy in OG 107s, black beret, spit-shine jungle boots, and I was like, what is that? What is that dude right there? That's an airborne ranger. And I was like the song? You heard this, everybody's heard the song as a kid.
Song, yeah.
I want to be an airborne ranger. And I was just like, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's some good marketing. It's like psyops.
Well, that's why they gave him the beret and the boots. They were just like, let's
Yeah.
get these cool guys out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I finished the school, got back. I was an armorer at a drill sergeant unit in Saco, Maine. And but I knew right away that I wanted to be a ranger. I didn't know much about it. I just knew that there was a cool song, and that guy looked badass, and there wasn't internet or anything to do any research really. So I just kind of picked up. I remember seeing an article in Soldiers Magazine one time about Ranger School, and I just decided, hey, that's what I want to do. I started asking questions, and commander gave me a conditional release to begin the enlistment process over again. And I went through the whole process again at MEPS and sat down with the guidance counselor and, hey, so what do you want to be? It's like, I want to be an infantry airborne ranger. And the guy's like, no, you don't. So, yeah, I do. No, pick something else. I said, I don't want anything else. Well, no, you're going to be bored with that. It's really hard. Pick something that you can, like, you qualify for literally any job in the Army. Pick something you can have a nice skill making money on the outside afterwards. How about a guided missile repairman? I was like, no.
Sounds a little boring.
Yeah. So the guy was like, all right, if you're not going to budge, let's at least look at the other jobs available with the Ranger contract. And he showed me radio operator, showed me combat medic, and then the last one was a fire support specialist. And there were lots of big explosions in that video, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
let's go with that. So I had to go reclass, went to Fort Sill, reclassed as a forward observer, 13 Fox. And then from there to airborne school, from airborne school to Ranger Indoctrination Program. And then got my orders for 2nd Ranger Battalion, Fort Lewis. Then you earn your black beret at RIP graduation. You think, yeah, I'm a Ranger now. Got my scroll, and you get to Fort Lewis, and you're walking around main post at the reception station, like, yeah, look at me.
Yeah, right.
And then you get off the bus at battalion, and all the windows open up, like fresh meat.
You get humbled real quick.
Oh. And then starts the process all over again. Like, hey, just kind of making sure you belong there.
Yeah.
Like, do you have what it takes to actually do this every day?
Yeah, trying to weed them out.
Yeah. It's so that was another eye-opening experience, but pretty quickly I was accepted and was part of the team, and then the fun stuff started. Just as an FO in Ranger Battalion, we didn't have artillery like we learned at Fort Sill. We had 60 millimeter mortars, and I was like, that's not going to do much.
Yeah. No.
And then we're like, oh, no, hang on. And go out in the field and, we're control inspector gunship tonight. Cool.
Yeah.
And then a month later, all right, we're going to go out and work with 160th SOAR, and we're going to call in close combat attack with little birds, cool. Miniguns, rockets.
Yeah. And
these guys are like, I remember calling these guys in on there's a tree line, and there was some engineer tape wrapped around the trunk of a tree out there on the calling. You call them in, big picture to small picture. Do you see the east-west opening and about 3/4 of the way to the north? There's got it. And then okay, that's your target. And you look and you make sure he's pointed at the target, cleared hot, and that tree just disappeared. I'm like, wow.
The videos are right.
Yeah. And so the guy, he did a bunch of runs, and then he came and landed on the OP, and talked to us, and kind of like do hey, here's what works best for us. And if you do talk to us this way, it's easier for us to work with you. And if you want to go take a look at the helicopter, go ahead. I go over, I'm started looking around in the cockpit, and I'm expecting to see, the X-wing.
Yeah. Buttons going, everything everywhere.
The target, lock on. And I'm like, what do you guys use to sight? He's like, look on the windscreen, there's a grease pencil mark. Like, we all know what our zero is. It's so many rivets up and so many rivets over. And that's where we put our grease pencil. I'm like, you're dead balls accurate with a grease pencil mark every time. That's amazing.
That's pretty cool.
And they're like, yeah, well, we've been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
and they train and train and train. So that was great. And then, pack your bags. We're gonna go to San Diego, Coronado, and do Naval Gunfire School. And they put us in the same barracks with the buds, who all wanted to fight us.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I'm gonna kick all your asses. Like, dude, no, you're not. But they all thought that they
Yeah,
could.
yeah.
And we had our fair share of fights down there at the Gator Gardens Club across the street, and it was a good time. By the end of it, the school, you make friends with a few of them, and you get that mutual respect going. But we'd spend a week in the classroom and then go out to San Clemente Island and call in live naval gunfire and just watch giant football fields explode out there.
That's awesome.
On the island, and so that was our meat and potatoes. All that firepower. But then you come back and you go to the field with the infantry guys, and they were always kind of on you about field artillery.
Yeah,
Nice cross cannons. Like, yeah, okay, cool. And they'd get pissed off because you weren't pulling security at the halts, and you weren't on the perimeter in the patrol base, and you're doing rucksack flops. And like, dude, you're welcome to carry my rucksack, because when I first got there, we were short. So it's usually a 2-man team, an FO team. And you split the gear between the two of you. But so now I got everything the infantry guys got, but the PRC 77 was spare batteries. KY 57 Vincent was spare batteries. We had a laser target designator that was enormous with spare batteries. Those batteries were like 5 pounds apiece. Yeah. And then you had the laser rangefinder, which is like the big giant Luke Skywalker binoculars. Mm-hmm. And then we had these bombing beacons that were about the size of the old walkie-talkies, the old school walkie-talkies.
Yep.
And those bombing beacons were pretty cool. It was you push button and light up what kind of target you had out there. Was there troops in the open, or armor, or POL, or antennas, or whatever? And then you punch in how many hundreds of meters from you this target was, and then you aim it at it, and it had a little compass dial, and you line up the compass dial, and then you close the box, and you set it up, and you leave it there, and then you beat feet.
Wow.
And basically, that's going to give a polar mission from that location to any aircraft that flew over. And you could leave, and that would be, I don't know how many days it was good for, but aircraft could fly over, get all that information, and know, okay, from that location on this azimuth for that distance, I got this target, knew what munitions to use and everything. And so we had carrying all. I couldn't even close my rucksack. Our rucksacks would tear off the frames, and then after a couple line doggies, I could carry a rucksack. About 15 minutes, like, oh, my team leader wants me to get my ruck back. I'm sure they do.
Yeah, definitely, right.
But man, it was super, super hard work, but man, best years of my life were spent there. Some of the greatest guys I ever met, who are still great friends of mine, and actually a couple of them coming out to my retirement ceremony next week.
That's cool.
We still get together. I'll go out there to visit them, California, Vegas, Colorado, Connecticut, and vice versa. They come visit me all the time. But
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's that brotherhood. Once you
guys
have been in the infantry, you get that bond with those guys that you went through hell with, and it's something that it's for life. Yeah, sometimes stronger than blood.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Amazing experience.
Yeah.
Everybody should do it.
Yeah, right.
When you're young.
Yeah, when you're young.
Before you're broken.
Mm-hmm. And then that was all the time you were active at second bat.
Yeah.
And then how'd you transition to the Guard? Or
I thought I'm doing my 4 years active. I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm going to go be a civilian, and you got to go see the
RCC or whatever it is. Yeah, Reserve Career Counselor or something like that. Yeah.
And I had always thought, well, maybe I want to fly a helicopter. So I talked to him about getting into an aviation unit. And, well, I could get you in Chinooks in this state. I can get you in Hueys in that state. Or I can get you in Cobras in that state. I was like, Cobras? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I lived in Maine. And then I was in the Guard down a unit down there. But by the time I got there, the Cobras weren't there anymore. They were in Rhode Island. So we'd do our ATs at Quonset. We'd come down from and work on the Cobras that they had here, and did that for a couple of years. And That was at the time.
Say it.
The National Guard had a bad reputation, and in my opinion, that reputation was accurate.
Yeah.
And I'd show up there, I'd drive 3.5 hours to get down there to drill, and be told, go find some place to hang out and relax. Like,
Yeah.
I just drove 3.5 hours to get some training. Like, I want to do stuff, and then other times where they would put me in charge of the crew working on a helicopter, and hey, give out the jobs on the bird to do today, and and the E6 would always, hey, who wants to volunteer for that, or who wants to volunteer for this, and I did a little different. I was like, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, ready, go. And this kid stood there one day just staring at me, and I was like, did you miss what I told you were doing? He's like, no. I said, okay, you're going to get busy. He's like, I don't want to.
Jeez.
What do you mean you don't want to? Like, I don't want to work on the tail rotor gearbox assembly. I'm like, well, that's your job today.
Tough.
And why don't you do it? I'm like, because you're doing it. Why don't you make me?
What rank was he?
E4. I was E5.
Yeah.
Fresh off active duty. And I stepped towards him with the knife hand. I said, look, motherfucker. And just at that point, this W01, whoa. Hey, Bill, what's going on? Jeez, Josh, this guy's trying to make me do, like, oh, hey, Sergeant Davis, this isn't a Ranger battalion here, we do things a little differently. I'm like, uniform still says U.S. Army, right?
Army's the Army.
But no, this is aviation, and it's, we're a little more laid back like that, So I was like, I can't do this. I came from a place where an E2 stood at parade rest for an E3, and so on, all the way up through the ranks. And getting to a place like that where an E4 is telling an E5,
No.
I ain't doing that. Make me. Oh, I'll make you.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do it. And that and them telling me that you're always volunteering for everything. You're the hardest worker on the team. Let's just go hang out and play some cards or something. I'm like,
Wrong answer.
no.
How long did you last?
2 years.
Okay.
And then I got out. I did couple different things as a civilian. Jumped around restaurants and carpentry and sales and music. I got back into a band and applied for a police job, and I got down to like the last 4, and we were told, okay, you 4 are selected, and you're going to get called and then figure out in what order you'll all begin. And at that point, this band that I was in really took off, and I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. Seems more fun.
I could make my whole month's rent in one night.
Yeah.
Playing music and having fun, and it's like, I'm gonna do this for a little bit.
So yeah, your experience with the National Guard. So so something prompted me where like the main discussion I wanted to have was like how people view the National Guard.
Well, I think at that time it was a different type of force, right? So
Yeah, no, absolutely.
yeah, like it was like I mean, up until probably 2003, 4, when the Guard started doing things, or I guess pre to that, right? Maybe some stuff here and there, but yeah, I mean, the Guard was a reserve force, and that was all they did, really. I mean, that was.
Did you know anything about the National Guard before you enlisted?
Yeah, my dad was in the Guard, so I kind of knew a little bit about it from him.
Okay.
But I mean, when I joined, it was 2000. 8, so we already were in full blown war. Like there was people going there everywhere, so it was a different way to join it because you kind of knew you were going overseas. Like that's what I was like, that's what I wanted to do. So.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, so like when I joined, it was in 06. I didn't know shit about the National Guard, right? And I was gonna be a Marine, and long story short, so I didn't know I could just fucking lie. You can't do that nowadays. You can't lie because they will find out, and you will not get in. This is gonna be either the recruiter's favorite video or recruiters just fucking hate us.
You don't lie. You just have to talk
selectively remember.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I was gonna be a Marine, and then like I didn't apply for any schools, and then I just went to New England Tech because they don't care. They just want your money. And somebody, I'm not gonna say his name. He's still in, but he was like, "Why don't you just join the Guard?" And I was like, "They'll give me a gun." And they was like, "Yeah, because I just want to kill Taliban." So I joined the National Guard, but I didn't know anything of it, and I honestly didn't know it was like a military entity. Like I've heard of it, but I've always heard like not good things about it. But to me, that was like my last ditch effort, you know. And we've been in since like it's been nothing but war.
Yeah.
So all we know was like everything we do is train for war, for the real possibility of war. And so to me, it's like you would assume like our reputation has gotten a little better, but I think it's not any better than when it was when we.
Yeah, but I think off active duty, like when we have, because we have a lot of people that come to the unit I'm in now, still off of active duty, and they get to the unit and they're like, "Oh shit, you guys do things," like, and they maybe have a picture of like the National Guard where they're just gonna show up and have beers and barbecues and stuff like that, but like they get here and we're still doing the thing, and I think that's. I think that's it's like almost like a surprise for them because they like get it and they're like, oh well, that's kind of weird.
Well, that's the thing. I'd hope this video helps it not be a surprise. So like I'm not here trying to like beat our chest and be like, the National Guard we're not a bunch of fucking pussies like you think we are. It's maybe some of that will hopefully like educates anyone who thinks otherwise, but I think I really want to do is I want to have a real discussion of what the National Guard is for the actual layperson that doesn't know anything from active duty to National Guard, where it's like National Guard might be the place for them. I mean, in hindsight, I should have went active, like if I knew I could have, and like I think I would have been much happier active. But the National Guard has been really great to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a different aspect too. So like when you join a guard, right? You join the state guard. Right. So like just specifically in our state, you have, we get aviation, we have infantry, we have special forces, and we're lucky to have all those, MPs, artillery. So like if like we have a lot of guys that will join the unit, right? They go do the infantry thing for a while and then they're like, oh, hey, maybe I want to do something else. And then they can like transition to like PAO, right? Like, or like I had to do that, like was with the unit for a long time, and then he like wanted to do something different, and he like I think he's on his way to do judge advocate stuff. So there's like this whole entity that's like in the state guard that you can't get on active duty, because you can't just be like, all right, I'm at this station, I'm at wherever it is, I want to go do this, and it's just like for Rhode Island you can just transfer like to that unit, and it's very easy, it's very quick. Like I've been in four different units in the Guard, four like I know you've been in a few just in Rhode Island, right? Like, so it's there's opportunity to do other things if one thing doesn't work, and I don't think you really get that on active right away.
So we should probably define and explain to people what the National Guard is.
Yeah, I mean, the National Guard itself, right, is specifically, I guess, a reserve force for the active army. This was really up until, I guess, right, 2000s or so. You were, doing the drills and stuff like that. But then, as the wars started happening, the National Guard was called upon to, like, do things and go places. And they became a more kind of like a feeder force for the active army, right? So they could position the Guard in a certain way. I think that's what worked out at least for the conflicts that we had.
Right. So like so when people think the military, they're thinking active duty, Army, Marines, where it's like you are a soldier, you're a Marine, you're a sailor full time, 24/7. Like that's what you focus on. But the National Guard, what we do is, yes, we go through, when we enlist and we sign up to be soldiers and airmen, we go through the same training initially, but then we go back to our civilian lives and we train 1 week in a month, 2 weeks a year. Not always cut and dry that way. Some units are more high speed than others, but that's the difference between National Guard. Active duty is 24/7 doing their operations and their training, and we are living our civilian lives, but also trained. And there's also the dual purpose of guardsmen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys like when I got in the Guard, I did a counter drug program. So like I joined the Guard and then started working full time for the Guard. I just got, they call it ADOS orders, right? So active duty operational support. And so I got a job working supply. I did that for a year, and then after that, like I got a job with counter drug, and essentially I was doing like a DARE program for the schools in the state. And I did that for almost 5 years before I deployed to Afghanistan. So like there's these weird things in the Guard that like I don't think a lot of people know of, and like the ADOS is huge. I mean, the money now is a little weird, but like at the time it was pretty good. It's unexpected to an extent.
Well, I mean, aside from ADOS and being AGR, I think I'm getting to the point of like how, like, as a National Guardman, a National Guard soldier, our mission is obviously you go federal. So like the president says, hey, National Guard states, like you're deploying, Afghanistan, whatever. But then there's also state. Whereas like there's a hurricane or for whatever reason, the governor decides. Floods. Yeah. So like the governor is also, what's the title?
Well, yeah. So you swear an oath federally,
Yes.
right, to the United States, and then you swear an oath to the state.
Right.
Well.
And so the National Guard, that's why if you're watching the news and you see a lot of National Guard soldiers, that's part of our role. When something happens domestically and particularly generally within your state, then you respond. And I think that's actually cool, man. I mean, as a National Guard, like, Katrina happened and like soldiers all across the country went and supported, and even active duty, I'm sure. But I think that's really cool of our like our part of our dual role where we could deploy. We've all deployed before. Afghanistan. I don't know if you were Afghan first sergeant.
Iraq, Afghanistan, yeah.
Yeah, so we did those missions, but then I've also done missions where it's like COVID or like soldiers are setting up homeless shelters, and I think that's really cool as part of the National Guard.
Yeah. Well, the National Guard comes from the early days of the colonies here, 1600s, and the very first National Guard was in was it Jamestown in Massachusetts, 1636 or
yeah, that's right, 1636.
But that's the thing is they're small villages and don't have their own army, so you were a farmer, a blacksmith, a butcher, a baker, doing fisherman, whatever during the day. That's your job in the community. But in case of Indian attacks or other explorers coming in, take up arms. I think it was 13 to 60 or 16 to 60. You had to be able to have your own weapon and be prepared to defend your settlement. And that was the National Guard. And that's what we still are. Yeah. But there's so much more now. Yeah. We do work for the governor, but also for the president. And after 9/11, it was guardsmen who were activated to be at the airports and the Port of Providence and guarding the ports of entry into the state of Rhode Island to make sure that there weren't any terrorists infiltrating into each of the states. Every state, I'm sure, activated their soldiers to protect ports of entry. And then since then, doing snowstorms and floods and hurricanes. And then the great thing about it, too, is during Katrina, different states sent soldiers down to help out the Louisiana National Guard and worked down there in New Orleans, and different guards came together to help, and they did send some active duty guys eventually too, right? I think some 82nd guys, and so but then at the same time, come up on your 5-year rotation, and all right, hey, Big Army looks at the board and says, well, we need an MP unit, we need an artillery unit, we need an aviation unit, and they pick and choose. And if you're on the board, that's how I got on my first deployment, was being part of the 173rd Long Range Surveillance. After 9/11, I came back in and wanted to do my part, but it was just what you did. And Rhode Island was sending like 6, 7, 8 units a year out the door to go support the global war on terror. And since then, things have slowed down quite a bit. But that's the great part about being in the Guard, is you are a part of your community, and you do whatever. The majority, the 90% of the Guard they're straight civilian. They work part-time. It's only 10% that are full-timers in the Guard that make sure that everybody's ready, the training's all set up, and things are running smoothly. But those 90% of the people, they're firefighters, they're EMTs, they're police officers, they're bankers, they're lawyers, they're people in the community who contribute to the state of Rhode Island in their own way. And then they're also ready to pick up their rucksack and go draw their weapon and go overseas for a year, if need be.
Can I play a video real quick? So, are you guys familiar with Angry Cops?
What is it?
Angry Cops. He's a YouTuber, social media guy. He's hilarious. So, like, when I knew I wanted to make this video, I kind of like peruse of YouTube, see what they had. So I'm gonna play this video, and again, I think I wanted to make this video more about just like, I know we're biased, but like try to give an objective view as much as possible. So I'm gonna play this.
Is this like making fun of the Guard?
I'll let you determine.
Can you believe what's going on in the world right now? Have you been shaving? Of course not. Every time I go outside, I just throw on a gas mask. Covers up everything. What are you watching? Meet the Press.
Not true.
Well, we've got military all over our state doing all kinds of great things, like
You've got National Guard. You do not have the American
helping
military.
with hot things like
You've got National Guard. You do not have the American
helping
military.
with
You've got National Guard. You do not have the American
helping
military.
with hot.
Wait. I got this. Get him. Operator Sam is back, baby. And I'm about to drop some knowledge on you. It's about to get hot. How about I give you a lesson on the National Guard there, Billy? The United States Army is the OG when it comes to holding down some shit. Its birthday be June 14th, 1775. But you want to know when the National Guard was? December 13th, 1636. 140 years prior. It's been fucking holding up and protecting its own. How can you say not the military? Where'd you come up with that logical conclusion? It's been doing dual purpose, both state and federal, since 1933. Guard, reserve, active components all go through the same training. They get deployed like everybody else. 10,000 guardsmen got activated for Hurricane Katrina, 12,000 for the floods in Houston, 800 fighting wildfires in Cali, and over 5,000 National Guardsmen were in Puerto Rico helping it to rebuild. Oh, but that's not the military. That's not the military, guys. That's stateside. I guess all your deployments don't count their National Guardsmen and reservists because you're not really in the military. So the 600 individual soldiers that have given their lives throughout the Iraq and Afghanistan conflict, they were in the military. They only made up 1/10 of the overall casualties. Just 1 in 10 person that passed away, that was a non-military member. You gonna go up and tell that to Tim Kennedy? Huh? UFC fighter? Special Forces guy? Texas? National Guard? You gonna tell him he's not in the military? Bill, the previous best Ranger competition was won by a team of National Guardsmen. One of them placed second in 2014 and 15. Oh, but they're not in the military. I don't know why we're letting these guys play Ranger if they're not even in the military. Well, that's mighty nice of the military to let these non-essential Make-A-Wish military personnel compete. Now, just like the Army and Air Force have its competitions and brotherly rivalries, so does the active component reserves and National Guard. You think they're called weekend warriors, nasty girls, or part-timers. You must find it comical when those terms go away, when there's the news showing a bunch of helicopters picking people off their flooded homes and their roofs in Houston, or picking up people from the rubble of the fucking World Trade Center. You must find it awfully convenient. It's laughable that whenever shit hits the fan, guardsmen, reservists get replaced with soldier, airman, or marine. Well, you're from the city, Bill. You know who else is there? The 369th Infantry Regiment. Well, their nickname is the Harlem Hellfighters. They're in your area where their motto was, "Don't tread on me, goddamn, let's go." I'm sure you know those non-military members. We probably shouldn't call them veterans. I'm sure everybody there loved how you just scoffed when you said that's not the military. Better not let the 34th Infantry Division hear that. Red Bulls! How could these non-military members occupy 16 provinces in Iraq? My bad, 18 provinces in 2009 and 10. You must not know anything about your city, because you can take a walk down to 11th Ave at the Javits Center, where the National Flippin' Guard has set up a 1,000-bed hospital. You know what the city did? They said, here's a building, here's no help, see you later. And they're knocking it out of the park. What are these non-military people doing here? Must be out there just selling Girl Scout cookies. On second thought, Bill, maybe you shouldn't go down there. It wouldn't be the first time a bunch of fighters for your city turned their backs on you.
So, like,
Pretty good.
Hey, Drill.
yeah, but I mean, like, I mean, I don't blame people for not knowing anything about the National Guard. I didn't know anything about the National Guard, but I think that a lot of stigmas are still there. And after, like, and I get it too. I wouldn't hate anyone who's active duty who has anything against us. Like, I would too if I was active duty. But to me, it's like, dude, we've been at war for 20 years. Like, I mean, I think at this point we deserve a little more credit.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was, I mean, for years, there were a couple of guys from 2nd Bat that were in the LURS, and they'd come up to me and on the weekends hang out with me, and they had been trying to talk me into joining the LURS down here for years. And I was like, National Guard? Nope.
Yeah.
Tried it.
After your experience.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tried and I just wasn't going to have it after that experience I had. And then 9/11 happened, and I was in the city the night before for a concert. And I remember leaving town on the train, heading back down to the Jersey Shore, and train coming around the bend, and there's the towers all lit up. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And the next morning they were gone. And where I lived, you could see the smoke blowing from Manhattan down the shore, and this brown smoke trail just off the coast. And I was sitting there watching it on TV saying, I got to do something. I almost jumped in my car and drove to Ground Zero. I wanted to help start looking for survivors. And do I go give blood? And then I call my buddy Skinny. You ever heard of the legend of Skinny from the LURS?
I don't know. Yeah.
He was one of my he was one of the FOs 2nd Bat with me, and he was the one that kept trying to talk me into joining. And I called him up. I was like, "They looking for guys?" Because I guess I should come up and at least find out about the unit. And yeah, I'll set it up. I drove up to Camp Fogarty, met my recruiter, Jim Huff. He drove me to Fort Devens, and I met with the commander and the detachment sergeant. At the time, it was Captain Frank Landers and Sergeant First Class Dave Cloutier were running that unit, and met up in the woods with them. They were in the middle of doing their iterations. They did day and night land nav. And so I started talking to these guys. I was like, they asked me, so tell me a little bit about yourself. I give them my background, and I asked them, well, how about you guys? What do you do on a drill weekend? So, well, we did a night combat equipment jump, hit the ground, did a 10-mile road march, set up patrol base, did day and night land nav, and then we're going to do live fire movement to contact tomorrow. I was like, for real? Like, all in a weekend? Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's what you guys do all the time? They're like, yeah. If you want me, I'm in. Last thing I wanted to do was join another unit where you show up and sit around and twiddle your thumbs all weekend. And it turned out that there were guys from all 3 Ranger battalions in that unit at the time. There were guys from active duty LURS units that were in that unit. Guys who had been gone through the Special Forces training team stuff, and it was a great mix of soldiers. And I was like, if it's good enough for all these guys, I can give it a fair shot. And I was enlisted by January of 2002, and some of the training we did was, I remember doing a movement after a rainstorm. It was raining for like 3 days, and there was a little break during our infiltration, and we had this movement through Big River training area, and I was the assistant team leader pulling up the rear, and one of the other guys, second bat guys, was kind of walking along as our observer, controller. We were being evaluated that weekend during that AT. Chris Donahue was his name. Just Cause vet, great guy. He was one of the guys that was always trying to talk me into joining, and he and I are kind of whispering while we're going through this. It took us 2 hours to go 100 meters because the terrain was so ridiculous. And
it's pretty bad out there.
I turned to him and I was like, dude, this is harder than anything I ever did in Ranger School, harder than anything I ever did in Ranger Regiment. This is ridiculous. Why am I doing this right now? I wanted to quit. Like, I wanted to quit every day at Ranger School too, but like now I'm volunteering to do this part-time. Like, what am I, crazy? But then when you're done with it, you're like, damn, this is some real stuff that we're doing here, man. Like some real good training. And I was hooked. We'd go out and train on the weekend and maybe get 3 hours sleep the whole weekend. And then I'd have to, when I left Fogarty, go to the parking ride and take a nap before I hit the road back to Jersey Shore. And because I wouldn't have made it. You got no sleep. You just went constantly nonstop the whole time. It was great, great training. But still, you're just National Guard. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't till the first group went over OIF 1, had a bunch of guys volunteer to go with the MPs, went on that first trip over. A bunch of LURS guys went. And then while they were gone, we get our NOS to say, hey, get ready. You guys are going to go to Kosovo. I'm like, all right. And then a month later, it was like, just kidding. You guys are going to the Sunni Triangle in Iraq. Yeah. And we're like, Sunni Triangle? What the hell's that? So we did a little research, and we're like, oh, we're going to the shit. Yeah. And, but none of us were worried about it because you knew that every guy in that is 56-man detachment, and every guy deserved to be there and could pull their own weight because we trained like we fought every drill weekend. And it wasn't, show up and let's hit the motor pool or let's go play some cornhole or have a barbecue. It was grab your ruck, we're going to the field, and we'll be back in 3 days. All right. So the guys were well trained and went over there and executed. Some pretty awesome stuff we did over there in Iraq.
Yeah, it was like a divisional asset too at that point, right? Because you took on to another division, right?
Yeah, we were task force, or it was Area of Operations Liberty. So it was Tikrit. It was from, we up to Beji, and Tikrit was where the division headquarters was, but we did our basic mission over there was terrain denial. We had to stop the IEDs getting put in, the landmines, VBIDs, because people were getting hit almost on a daily basis. It was at the height of the insurgency. It was it was nonstop, just explosions rocking the area multiple times a day. And we had a 56-man detachment. We're like, let's come up with a plan. And we had a great commander, Colonel Mike Manning, who just retired last year. But he had a great vision on how we could take care of what was going on over there. And he had great NCOs that he trusted to. It was NCOs that were running the patrols. There were 2 officers in the entire detachment, and they seldom were they didn't go out on mission sets with us. So it was E6s who were running the show out there. E6s and E5s running the Lurch team. And we shut down enemy ops everywhere we went. And hey, great job, guys. Now pack your shit, and we're going to move you to this city and that fob. And we want you to do the same thing here. All right. Move there. Hey, great job again, guys. Shut them down. Pack your shit and move over there. And okay. And Dave Raymond, he coined the term whack-a-mole tactics. Because we'd whack the mole here, and they'd pop up over there, and they'd move us over there, and we'd knock them out there, and they'd pop up over there. And,
wow.
And it got to the point towards the end of it that some of the civil affairs guys had some guys that they were questioning, and the locals were saying, there's 2 units that we're afraid of. The trucks with the stripes, which the SF team had big giant tiger stripes on their trucks, and the team and the guys with the green flower. And that was us. We had a 4-leaf clover on our gun shields. And they saw that 4-leaf clover roll into town, and they all just packed up and freaking beat feet the other way after a few months. And they were just like, nope, we're not messing with these guys.
Whose idea was put the clovers on the trucks?
What's that?
Whose idea was put the clovers on the trucks?
I think that was Colonel Manning's. We were call sign was Murphy. Cranking the dropkick Murphys everywhere we went.
What was that? Is he a Boston guy?
Yeah, his family's from Boston. He's actually teaching at Northeastern now. He's a professor up there. Yep. But his family's from up there, and that was it.
Yeah.
We were Murphy, and we were here to kick some ass. And we did.
Flavor. Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's
we had
good.
trucks getting blown up, rolling over tank mines, getting hit by IEDs, and miraculously, every single guy walked away with, heads rattled, shrapnel in their body armor, in their back plates, but everybody walked away with all their body parts, and it was a miracle because those poor guys from the 28th ID lost like 30 dudes, and they were on the last fob. We ended up Summerall in Beige. We were getting mortared every Friday afternoon. We were getting rocketed. We caught local police, dropping landmines in potholes right outside our main gate at that fob on the cameras. Like everybody was out to get us.
Yeah.
And but like I said, it's a miracle. All our guys came back.
Yeah. You guys riding around soft skins, I'm assuming?
No, I think we were the first group to get the 1114s up armor. We had a couple soft skins that we put the little plates, the little armor plating. We built little things around. Like I was a gunner for the first sergeant rolling from Kuwait up to Tikrit, and we came rolling through Baghdad, and guys were just like, where are you guys coming from? Like, Kuwait. Like, you drove up here in that? Like,
Wow.
Yeah. Like, giving us the sign.
Yeah,
like,
right.
oh, God bless you. And it was miraculous.
Yeah. But it was just the guard, though. Wasn't
Yeah. No big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Did you work out of a fob or a cop or?
The first we started at Anaconda. We ran a couple, I think the first election took place while we were there at Anaconda, and we were going to be a DAR team for because we were attached to the 117 Air Cav out of 82nd. It was the first time since Vietnam that they combined long-range surveillance and an Air Cav unit, and so those guys were running security over the polling sites, and we were there on the airfield waiting to go in case one of their aircraft went down to rescue the crew and secure the area. Luckily, nothing happened.
Yeah.
But that was our first mission, and then shortly after that, we moved out to Mackenzie, I think, east of Samara, and we were running missions in this Adeluya, where convoys were going through and taking RPG rounds through the windshield and stuff, and they said, go down there and stop that nonsense. We're like, all right. So we ran those missions for a little bit, and then Third ID caught wind of what we were doing. They're like, we need to borrow them over here. And then we went to the west side of Samara into Brassfield Mora, and we ended up running ops on Route Golden that ran between Samara and Fallujah. Those convoys were getting hit down there all the time. There was a guy who there was no way to get around. You had to go miles to get to the other side of this canal. There was no way to get vehicles on the other side. So he knew that I'll just stay over here. He had a motorcycle with a sidecar, and he put a 155 round in the sidecar and drive it through heavy vegetation right up to the side of the road. Had a little boat in the reeds, and then he'd paddle across, put the IED in, go back across, wait for a convoy to go down, hit him. And a couple of our trucks got hit that way, and there's no way to get after him. So we started, all right, let's I went down there with Josh Haywood and Joe Vosio one day, and we just started shooting pyro into those reeds on the other side, like trying to get rid of his concealment. And we'd set sniper teams in at night, overwatching some of the areas where the IEDs were in. And we took out a few teams that way, but eventually, I think, I don't know if I can't remember if we got moved before we caught the guy or he just stopped and moved someplace else, or I don't remember exactly how that happened. That was 20 years ago now.
Yeah,
Is there a mission that sticks? I'm sorry, Lapierre. I don't.
No, go ahead.
I'm just following my curiosity. Is there a mission that sticks out in your mind? It sounds like you guys are doing a little of everything. And I know obviously it's not always like you're doing a standard patrol or a show of force or like, trying to find an HVT. But yeah, is there a particular mission that stands out in your mind from that deployment?
For me, it was there were a couple villages right outside Summerall, and then Route Hershey went out to Tampa from there. And this bypass road, a lot of the convoys went around Beige on this bypass road. But at the southern bypass, they were putting IEDs in down there. So that was one of our missions, go down there. And we were stretched pretty thin at the time, so usually most of the units went out there with rolling 5 trucks minimum. And we were like, we don't have that. So we'd go 2 trucks, and we went to that intersection one day, and we knew we were going to be there for a couple of days. Like, let's make the best of it. And we're getting bored halfway through the first day, and we'd pull, we'd take turns in the turret. It was like 120 to 100. I remember calling in one day, Hey, what's the temp at the talk? We're reading 152. Like, you couldn't even put your hands on the guns without burning your skin. It was ridiculous. And but super hot. We'd be in the turret for an hour and then try to find some shade on your downtime, take a nap. And mid-afternoon, I got super bored, and I was like, hey, guys, everybody up and cover me. And I had my pistol belt on, and I put American flag around my shoulders like a cape. And I started running around the intersection shouting, USA, USA.
Yeah.
Just like, let's see if we can pick a fight. And all right, that didn't work. But that was the day they renamed me Sergeant America. And so a little while later, it was we had the 2 trucks. There was a sniper team that was in a hide site, because we would go grab them and insert them at night, and they'd overwatch that intersection. And we'd pull off and be like their QRF backup.
What's so important about this intersection? Is this usually a hot
That was the
spot?
bypass, with the bypass intersection. So all the convoys, to avoid going through downtown Beijing, they'd hit this bypass at that intersection.
Got it.
And so nothing's happening again. I was like, hey, let's see if we can rile some guys up in downtown at rush hour. So it's like 5 o'clock. Like, let's drive through downtown and the markets and everything and make it out of town. We go back. And now we go about a couple hundred meters south of where we were at that intersection to this old building that was abandoned. And let's sit here and wait for the sun to go down. So at the time it was at sundown was curfew. Like, you see anybody out after curfew, free fire.
Yep.
So we know if there are no mines or IEDs in, theoretically, when the sun goes down, there shouldn't be all night, because they're not going to be crazy enough to come out in the dark and try to put this stuff in right under our noses. And so we're sitting there, have a couple MREs, waiting, and then Phil Wagner, he was at E5 in the lead vehicle, and he's like, hey, I'm going to just take a quick run down Hershey and make sure that road's clear. You cool just being here? The sniper team was within 100 yards of where we were, hidden somewhere. And I was like, yeah, I got those guys for backup in EB. And so they start rolling away from me. It was, I don't know, a couple miles down the road to the fob. And I went to relieve myself off in a hole and came back. And I opened up the front door. I started writing my patrol log. Say, okay, we moved to this location at this time. This time, Sergeant Wagner took his vehicle down to sweep Hershey, and boom, we start getting hit with mortars and RPGs flying past us, and we were about 150 meters off the road, and right across the road was this other village with a wall all around it. And I ran to the back of the vehicle. Just like, hey, where'd that come from? To the gunner. It's like, I don't know. It's like, do you see smoke? Do you see any? I don't know. I said, you see anything move, shoot it. I go to try to get back in the truck and get on the radio. And I pick it up, and Wags is on there going, hey, what was that? What was for dinner at the Chow Hall tonight? And they're just having a conversation with the talk, the Lurse talk back there. Like, oh man, dinner was whatever. And I'm like waiting patiently. Finally, I was like, break. Contact, RPG mortars, and mortars are going off. Also, back behind us, a ways back, was a police checkpoint, and they were hitting that with mortars at the same time. And at that time, Colonel Manning was home on his mid-tour leave. Colonel Fay was in charge. And he gets on the radio. He's like, how many of them are there? I'm like, I can't see anything. Where's it coming from? It's coming from that village right across the street. You going in after them? I was like, nope. They waited till it got dark and
They're fortified now.
like, no, this is obviously a trap.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I got tanks in the area. I'll send the tanks to you, and you guys can go in there after them. I'm like, no,
I love his aggression.
no. I'm
So
not.
he was the XO at the time?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sounds like Faye.
yeah.
I love it.
So it's just nope. I don't know that village. I've never been in it during daylight. I'm not going in for the first time at night. And okay, well, if you change your mind, if they hit you again, we'll send out the QRF. You have the tanks, and we'll go get those guys. And they didn't do anything. That was it. They were just obviously trying to bait us.
One and done.
And those tanks ended up rolling past our location, got about 2 miles down the road, and rolled over tank mines and blew up.
Wow.
Lost their tracks, and like, okay, obviously
Yeah. Did something.
these guys are planning something. And then later that night, we pulled off. We waited. We got the sniper team. We put them in position. We used the vehicles to get them up on a roof somewhere where they could overwatch that intersection. And we pulled back. And then with my fire support background, whenever I was out there, I was calling in Illume missions, and we did a couple coordinated Illume missions while we were out there. But that night, I waited until all the lights in the villages went out and all the animals got quiet, and I just called Illume missions over the villages. All the lights come on, and all the roosters and the dogs, and the whole village would wake up.
What time was this?
11, 12, and then wait a couple hours till they had all quieted down again. Let's hit them. Repeat. It kept them up all night that way. And but that was it was one of those things, like I just knew it was a bad idea to go in there.
Yeah.
And that was I think you guys probably heard about, there was the 28th guys who eventually, like,
I haven't heard any
they
stories.
went in one night. Those guys were doing that every once in a while. It was sporadic, but over the course of a month or so, they kept trying to bait somebody to go in there. And one night, the 28th guys rolled in there, and they had channeled all these roads to canalize all these vehicles to go through this one,
Fatal funnel.
and they had buried 55-gallon drums of explosives
Wow.
under this, I don't know if it was like a little bridge, or I never saw it, but those guys went in there, and I think one or two vehicles got through, and then they blew up one of them, and those guys, there was nothing left of them. That whole vehicle was gone, and it was our guys, Jack Shimkus and Tommy O'Hare's teams, that went in there and helped recover the remains. And but what they had done was they set this up to draw people in here. They let a couple through, blew one up, nobody else could get through, and then they had an ambush set up along the river.
Wow.
They had boats in the river, so they fired up the guys that made it through before the explosion, and then all jumped in their boats and took off down the river. And like goosebumps afterwards, because I was like, oh, they tried to get me that night to go in after them.
Could have
And
been you.
I remember telling somebody this story, and they asked, why did you choose not to go in there? I was like, I just felt something was off, and so part of that job being, you got to trust your gut a lot, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, right. Be a different story.
Yeah.
Where are those guys from, the 28th?
Pennsylvania.
Okay, so it was the same setup, same play. Like, hey, we're lobbing out some rounds or whatever, just get your attention, and they just kind of like took the bait.
I think so they with the mortars, they were able to get the point of origin radar, and they're just like, hey, that's the same place they keep firing from. Let's go get those guys. Finally,
it makes sense. You found the poo, and like let's go. We got it. We found them.
Yeah, and it was a bad night for them.
Yeah.
And I think that Friday afternoon mortarman, when we first got to that fob, his mortars were hitting 1,000 meters out, but they were coming closer and closer every Friday. And finally, the week before we left, they landed mortars right in the middle of that unit's little wherever their buildings were.
Yeah.
Just only 100, 200 meters from where we were, and hit those guys the week before we left. And then the week that we left, that mortar guy had finally crept them in and actually hit the chews that we had just moved out of.
Oh.
I was like,
Yeah, it's crazy. Some luck there.
crazy stuff, man.
The 4-leaf clover did some work.
I mean, you would think that they would want to, like, if you could see them trying to walk in the rounds, but at the same time, it's kind of like it's just random. You know what I mean? Could move, but like,
So
just say it's any safer.
that because it was happening every week on a Friday, it was just different times throughout the day. We had it. I think there were 4 or 5 poos that the guy used. There's all right. It's going to be at one of these. Mm-hmm. So I brought up a plan. It was my fire support training. I brought up to Colonel Manning. I said, hey, what if we got a full artillery battery here? What if we have each gun trained on one of those poos?
Smart.
We have a LURS team out there far away enough from the poo that when they hear that first round leave the tube, they call in shot over, and we immediately fire on each one of those poos and destroy each poo. We're going to hit the guy.
What did you guys have, like 60s, 120s, or?
No, they had artillery.
They had 155s.
Oh.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it was a 155 battery.
Yeah.
And everybody thought, that's amazing idea.
Yeah.
And so I said, but it can't be like every other field artillery mission where, okay, well, clear the airspace, let's clear the ground space. Do we have any friendlies in the area? It's got to be like, it's a no-go, no-fly zone all day long so that you don't have to go through all that stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to pull the lanyard the second we hear the rounds leave the tube, because he dropped 3-4 rounds and then he'd be gone. And like, okay, yep, sounds like a plan. And I think Wayne Lynch's team was out there that day and heard the rounds leave the tube, called it in. Okay, fire. Okay, clear the space. Any friendlies in there? I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, that was the part of the whole plan. That was supposed to be cleared already.
Yeah.
And by the time the rounds went out, guy was long. He was back home drinking chai before the rounds even left the tubes. I was just like,
I don't know shit about artillery, so is that like you just can't do that? It's not possible. I'm assuming.
Well, you gotta. I mean,
it's up to the air, whoever owns the ground there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like it's up to them to be the safeties and make sure before artillery goes out that there's no aircraft flying over, that there's no friendlies in the area. But that was the whole reason why we're going to put it out to all the units in the area. Stay out of this area.
Got it.
Between this time and that time on that
No
day.
fly zone at this. Yeah.
It is.
It just depends who's on the FDC at that point. Because like, that's the problem, is that you have an FDC that's going to be taking that fire direction control, and they're going to be like, so if it's like a dude that you didn't plan with, and he's like, all he's doing is regular procedures, then you're like, oh, that fucking sucks.
Yeah. Well, the guy got away, and
Yeah. That's pretty wild, though, that since we're talking about the National Guard, you join the National Guard, and you're like, you train for all this time to be like, do the Ranger thing, and then you deploy with a National Guard unit and then actually did stuff out there. Like
combat.
Yeah. And then you got a group of people that are experience to an extent, right? And then you come from all different backgrounds. Like, so you got some Ranger Bat dudes, some other dudes from wherever. It was kind of a big mesh of people. It was like
we had the three guys who volunteered with OIF 1, came back and did a quick turnaround, and they were back out the door with us again. It was Wayne Lynch, Tommy O'Hare, and Steve LaFond. They went OIF 1, turned around, had like a month of downtime, and jumped back on and went to Fort Drum with us to train to go over there for OIF 3. So that was huge, having that knowledge.
They already knew that.
Because they had been there and seen. But, I mean, those guys the bad guys are changing their tactics based on whatever we respond with.
Yeah.
All right, we'll change it up and do this. So it's only so much that experience is good for.
Yeah.
Like we said, like, hey, how come we're not getting big body counts over here? Like, because all the dead dumb ones are dead. Like they were dead in the first year or two. And now they've all wised up, and now they see how we operate, and they're reacting to us, and so it was hard, and you never knew who they were.
Yeah,
they were the guy who invited you in for chai yesterday, and then today he's dropping an IED on the side of the road. You know,
I'm kind of curious. Have you talked to anybody who's been in the Guard that time frame in the 80s? Is a possibility that your first experience with the Guard, was that just a bad unit, or do you think that was kind of like leaning towards the average of how the National Guard operated, because it was peacetime and you had some units just kind of like showing up just to pull out a cooler and like share fucking war stories or whatever?
I have no idea. I remember how the drill sergeants treated the nasty girls at basic training, like always giving them the shit details and making fun of them, and but I didn't know anybody who was in the Guard at the time. I didn't know anything, like I said before. I didn't know anything about anything when I joined. I figured it out as I went, and it ended up being what I loved. And then, since then, been in all these different units. You get up to be a senior NCO, and it's all about taking care of soldiers, and now you're trying to prepare the next bunch of guys to go and do that. Hopefully, you don't have to go do another mission like that again. But if they have to, hopefully you're able to prepare them and make sure they're well taken care of. And that's the hardest part about retiring for me now. Is like I'm not going to be able to take care of soldiers anymore, and that's.
What was something you'd say to somebody if they? If they went through something similar that you went through, where you got into the National Guard and you're like, oh, this is not how we do things. Like we're different, and like we have barbecues and hang out. Like, what would you tell somebody that's struggling with that, like right now?
Find a recruiter and find a different unit, because they're not all like that.
Yeah,
they're very seldom you're going to find a unit like that these days, and usually they're the ones that don't deploy at all. But even still, you go to drill weekend at Joint Force Headquarters, and those guys are on their game. Like, they're taking care of all the administrative stuff and setting up the training, and they're professionals. But it's because we've been doing this so long and preparing so many units to deploy, and I haven't heard of any units in Rhode Island that have that reputation anymore.
Yeah.
Even the maintenance company and the transportation, they're well respected and well trained, and always do a great job in the field. And the artillery guys, the MPs. And then the great thing is, we do have that special forces unit. We have a special operations detachment. We got the airborne infantry company, so. Got a lot of reasons for people to drive. I used to drive from Jersey Shore. We had a guy who drove from Rochester, New York, to come train here because no airborne units out there. We had a guy who used to fly from California to train with the LURS.
What was his name?
Tim Covell.
Covell, yeah.
Shout out to Tim Covell.
I mean, so like
the Marlboro Man.
Yeah, right.
I think anyone who's got
he still owes me dip.
I think anyone who's like got a really hard on to like just talk shit about the National Guard, I think they're just really young or immature. I think most people as they get older in rank, like, you know, there's always ball busting, but they're not gonna like look down the National Guard as less than. I think that's usually a young soldier, you know, someone new, and they're just beating their chest.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a lot of people who just don't understand the National Guard, which I think is like I think this kind of conversation is important.
Yeah.
Like when I was at Walter Reed, I'm there, I'm getting physical therapy. Like I'm fucked up. In a room, people fucked up, and I'm talking to the girl next to me, and like she didn't mean any disrespect. She was just having a conversation, and she was like, "Oh, you're in the National Guard?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And she was like, "Oh, I thought only people join the National Guard if they're trying to like, you know, avoid the war." I didn't even know how to respond to that. I'm just like, what makes?
Because those are the stories their parents used to tell about
Yeah.
Right.
trying to get out of Vietnam and stuff like that. But it's so different now. But those stories perpetuate. If they're uneducated and they don't know what it's really like, they're just going to listen to the people who don't know anything about it.
Just like Bill.
They've got their own opinions.
Yeah. Just like Bill, the National Guard's not really the military. So yeah, I think this is why I kind of want to have this conversation, because I know you were active. You had your active duty experience and switching over to the Guard.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love for like somebody like on active duty to like come to a drill, like even if they're not even in the Guard, like, and just be like, pick a unit, like come to the unit and like see what you think. Because like my experience with active duty guys, like when I'm, you know, going to schools or whatever it is, they're like, you did all this? Like I start telling stories, whatever. You did all this in the National Guard?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man. Like,
dude,
he's like, you went to like all those schools? Like, I was like, yeah, man.
That's it.
Like,
Dude, I've met so many active duty guys, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I'm just like dying to get to airborne school." I'm just like, "Oh man, that sucks."
yeah. I try and say, like, I'm sending everybody to airborne school, like constantly. Like, and it's just like, yeah, it's pretty wild. And you get a good basis of people because you got active duty guys off of active duty, and you got dudes coming in the Guard, right? And then you have like a lot of things that helped us when we were overseas was like we had like, and this is something that, you know, people may have talked about, but like we had like a welder that was a welder by trade. Mm-hmm. He goes over to Afghanistan, like, and he's an infantryman, but like he's still a welder, so he's like welding turrets together and shit. Like it's stuff you're not gonna find on that outside. Or like diesel mechanic. Like we had a mechanic with us that wasn't a real like army mechanic, but like, you know, he was pretty helpful on deployment. Yeah. Like because we were self-sufficient to an extent. And you have all these people that like, you know, carpenters or whatever that you can use in different aspects of things. Even the cop thing, like guys that are cops and like have worked in like inner cities, and you go to Afghanistan, it's like, oh, you're dealing with the same kind of shit that you were dealing with then. And they have a different aspect on the way they do things rather than the active duty where it's kind of like the same thing all the time to an extent.
18-year-old kid, and that's all you know is what you were showed.
Yeah, and you have guys that have experience, like life experience, that like can give a little bit a different perspective to things. And that's probably one of the most biggest benefits from the Guard is like when you have somebody like a place to deploy, like you're deploying. I mean, just specifically thinking about Afghanistan, right? You had people that had a lot of skills and talents that you wouldn't find anywhere else. Like especially in an active duty unit, you would be able to and use those skills, which it worked out pretty good in Afghanistan. So
yeah, that's a solid pro. You would find in a Guard unit, it's so many people multi-talented, and that's just because they're allowed to live their civilian lives and have degrees and then join and serve.
Yeah. Luckily, the LRS had no medic positions when we went over there, but luckily, a couple of the infantry guys were EMTs on the outside, so they were our medics in the field.
Yeah.
And they'd be there to screen guys after getting hit and or TBIs and patching up civilians, and it was great to have them. Same thing with the guy we had in Afghanistan was his name. He was a carpenter, but he was building chairs. We had a 50 and a Mark 19 on our rooftop, on our fob, and there was no cover or anything. So he went up there and put together a frame to put camo netting up, and built chairs for sitting up there overnight and pulling tower guard, and building boxes and stuff to store things in, and fixing the bee huts when they were broken. It's like so great that you had these guys who had those skills on the outside, because normally you'd have to find an engineer unit and like, hey, can you guys come over and help us out? And we got our own. Like, he's an infantry guy, but he's building all this stuff for us, and it's just so great to have that diversity within a guard unit. And then I was a musician, got hooked up with this. Our PA was a musician, and we just put together a little. We'd play once a month out in front of our. We had one down day every couple weeks, and we go out there and sit outside our building and play music, and
nice.
People would gather from all over the FOB and go hang out. But we were the only guard unit on the FOB, and we were the only unit that left the FOB. So all the active duty guys were just like, hated us because we're National Guard. And anytime one of our guys walked into the chow hall, they were all like eyeballing them, haircuts, boots, sleeves, pants, like shave, and hey, get over here. Like, worry about your own soldiers.
Right.
And finally I just told my guys, I'm like, look, we're the only ones going out there and doing anything every single day. I don't care what you do, as long as you can do your job.
Yeah.
But when we're on the FOB, you don't go to the chow hall. You don't go, like we had a PX that was a closet that they would bring stuff in one day a week. It would open up like, hey, we made a little run and get some tobacco and some Pringles, and that was it. And you don't go there. You don't go anywhere where you can be seen. You stay in your bee huts, and you can look however you want. And I had this one kid who went out there and somebody came up, hey, Sergeant Davis, so-and-so was up at the chow hall and got called over by one of them. I'm like, son of a bitch. So I had to go down to the bee hut, and I was like, just start knocking him out. I was like, dude, why do you make me do this to you? I give you all the freedom in the world.
Why do you make me? Yeah, I hear you.
But that was it. We never had a problem again. I was like, okay, tired, do some flutter kicks, do some mountain climbers. We went on for an hour or two, and I just talked to him like a dad would talk to his kid, like, hey, kid, this is hurting me more than it's hurting you. But you can't do this. Like, we can't give them any more fodder. Like, we can't give them any more ammunition to make them think we're dirtbags.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Mark Hammer and I, both former 2nd Ranger Battalion guys, like running this platoon with McCallion, and they're just looking at us like National Guard guys. Like, dude, you realize how much it was? There was guys from 82nd in that platoon. There was guys from
Your 2nd platoon, right?
Yeah.
So
we had guys from all kinds of active duty units. And, but all they see is the National Guard patch, and that's yeah. We were on a tiny little FOB in Afghanistan. It had been a Soviet MWR little compound. They had a swimming pool and a theater. Our barracks were the theater.
Afghanistan. I thought you were talking about Iraq.
This one was Afghanistan.
Okay.
But while we were at Atterbury, they changed the AR 670-1 to be able to finally sew stuff on your was it ACUs and OCPs.
Yep.
And so we go over there with all our stuff sewn on. We're the first group that's authorized to do this. And as soon as we walk in the chow hall, I think it was a 25th ID was on their way out, but they saw us coming in and were like, come here, platoon sergeant, to Mark Hammer. And he's like, get all that shit off your uniforms. Like, And instead of saying, actually, you know, the regs have changed, they've been updated, but he says, what? I got too many badges for you?
Yeah, start off right.
Meet me in my office immediately after this. Oh boy, here we go. But yeah, we all had to cut all that stuff off, and that we were off to a bad start from that point with them.
Anybody's watching who's like thinking of joining the National Guard, who's active duty, like same here. Like when I deployed, like my team leader, entire career, 82nd, you know, had his fucking CIB and all that before I even like made fucking E5. You know, he was walking around multiple fucking deployments. Squad leader with 1st Division Marine was in there for like the surge. Like, and then my company commander at the time too spent his entire career Ranger Bat, went officer in the National Guard. Like the National Guard is like filled with lots of guys who also were active duty, and we all know like the backbone of the Army is the NCO Corps.
Yeah.
And so when you got some good fucking solid NCOs, he's like, you know, square away the Joes, it's a really good fucking unit.
We have a lot of Marines now. Well, I guess a good amount. Like, we have a lot of Marines coming to the unit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was a recruiter for a while, and at one point, I think it was probably 2007-ish, I think the Marines were calling their ready reserve guys back, and I got this, like they were lined up outside our recruiting office, like there's no way I'm going back with the Marine Corps.
Oh, wow.
Sign me up for the Guard right now. I want in. There was, yeah, they had a bad experience going overseas with the Marines. It just goes to show that yeah, it's not a joke. You know, these guys who are serious Marines, serious active duty soldiers, are like, I want to keep doing it, but I don't want to put up with the dumb shit of active duty anymore. And like there was in Samara, in 2005, 3rd ID guys had their sergeant major who drove around the FOB on a mini bike, making on the spot corrections.
Oh Jesus!
The LURS was put as far away from everything as you could possibly be. We were on the corner of the FOB, like right on the fence, right next to the artillery battery, outgoing artillery all the time. And we were in a tent under this big, long metal storage shed. And we had porta potties, and we had an NBC tent set up to take showers. And but this sergeant major would drive around. He never knew when he was going to come, and just, hey, get over here. What's up? What's up with these boots? What's up with your? When's the last time you shaved? You need a haircut? You need like. I had just come off. I was doing overnights in the TOC, and I think I was coming back, and I don't think anybody else was up yet, but I hadn't shaved in a couple of days, and I think I was wearing my 2nd Ranger Battalion baseball hat, and he stopped as I was coming out of the porta potty. He's like, "Is that some fucked up thing from Ohio I've never heard about? Like, what's this get up?" And I was like, "Roger that, Sergeant Major. I'll take care of it right away." He drove off and went about my business. Like, we don't even see anybody else. Your soldiers don't even see us down here. Mm-hmm. We drive past them on our way out to do our LURS missions, and that's it. Like, we're not tainting your soldiers. And these guys, like, I think one of the guys mentioned, maybe it was Nolan. He was our detachment sergeant at the time. He said he went up there to the TOC, and they were having a discussion, and this 3rd ID sergeant major was like, "Well, how come we can't get? Nobody wants to re-enlist. What's going on?" Like,
no shit.
You run around here freaking cracking the whip like IG inspections and measuring your sideburns, and like, come on, dude, lighten up. These guys we're out the wire every day. Like, we're taking incoming. We're like, IEDs are going off. You can see them from our tent. Like,
yeah.
And all he cared about was, there was another sergeant major on danger in the middle of Tikrit, who, our guys, whenever we moved to a new area, we'd had to go down there to the MI and have them print out new maps for us. And some of the guys rolled through there one day, and Nate Deach, he was in a turret, and there was an MP with a radar gun with the sergeant major pulling people over as they're coming onto the fob. Like, you can tell that these guys never stepped off the fob ever once. And stop the guy. Your gunner isn't at name tape defilade. Like, you realize that's to keep them from being hit by a blast or an IED. Like, if you get IEDs on your fob, you got bigger problems than worrying about people speeding or not being a name tape defilade. But that's like, they had nothing better to do.
Wow.
Like, we're going to do uniform corrections and name tape defilade checks and speeding tickets. And like, dude, what the real priorities? How about...
Yeah. You know what, hearing that makes you think of that quote, hurt people. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just ego, and if I gotta imagine if you're active duty, you just want to be a dick and just talk shit in National Guard. But I think because you're active duty for time, there's just so much more fuck games and nonstop bullshit.
Well, yeah, because you're doing it 24/7.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So it's like you're just taking out your anger on the National Guard. It's like if you're from some fucking unit where they gotta do fucking recall formations every 3 hours. There's like it's just easy to look at us. Like,
if you look at Army what the fuck moments, and I'm sure you've seen them, right?
Yeah.
Is that like all these things are like, oh, Joe Snuffy didn't get his sideburns fucking cut, so we're doing formations every fucking 3 hours to check like fucking sideburns. I'm like, who's got a better fucking like you just have to keep people there like to just do that bullshit. Like,
yeah,
I mean, because in the Guard, right? Like, you show up, like, especially our unit, right? You show up like on drill weekend, you're working until like you're ready to leave. Like, there's no sitting around. Like, you don't have time to sit around. Like, we have stuff we need to get done. And then you go out, you do the thing, and then you get to like, and then we get everything done, right? And everything's like priority, right? You just like, all right, hey, we're going to the field. All right, let's do this, let's do that. Like, you get back, clean weapons, get the fuck out of there. Like, and it's like, I feel like there's just, like you said, there's so much time to like fuck with people. Yeah, that it's just like it's just like, hey, why not? But
that's what I'm saying. Like, I can see that. I can see, like, honestly, like, playing like playing psychologist right now. I could see, like, if I was like fucked with so much and I had so much hate, and I see someone else and they got part-time, and they're not dealing with nearly as much bullshit as I am, I'm like, fuck these guys. They don't know what it's fucking like to like lose fucking pass on a weekend and all that kind of bullshit. Yeah. So I could definitely see that.
Yeah, especially you roll up and you're like, oh, you went to all those schools?
I mean,
you're in the active duty.
I mean, we still like, like, soldiers still get smoked and shit, but like, we just don't have the time for that shit. Yeah. It's like, all right, get the fuck up. We got shit to do.
Yeah, and it's also like you're like, once you volunteer for the Guard, right? You're there. Like, and a lot of them join the specific units, right? So like, we have guys like show up to the unit, like they'll do like a trial one or whatever, and they're like, I want to be here. Like, and they do. They really do want to be there. Mm-hmm. Like, we're graduating hopefully a few jump masters this week. Like, it's a crazy thing. Like, you just don't realize that the Guard has that asset.
So here's the thing: to play devil's advocate, right? I see your unit, very high speed. You guys do a lot of good shit. I have full confidence in your unit. Like, we were to like go in, because I saw you guys in Kosovo. If we had to go in and assault an objective, you guys would fucking get it done. I see the engineers. Those guys are keeping busy. Like, if we had to go fucking build a fucking town or whatever, they'd get it. Because I've been doing public affairs for like, God knows, like, I don't know, over a decade easy now. I've seen all the units, and I've seen drill weekends where it's just complete dog shit. I'm not gonna call the unit, I'm not gonna say exactly what they're doing, but fucking dog shit. Seeing Joes on their phones waiting for the next fucking task or hit time, whatever, and it drives me fucking insane because they want to be there, they want to learn some shit, but they're like, literally, like, the best thing you have is like, there's a fucking truck when the hood's up and like you're gonna like peek in and then like, all right, cool, and on to the next chalk. Like, and it's just like, there's some shittier units versus better units, and I think it's the same thing in the Guard. There's more high speed units like your unit, constantly doing shit. There's not enough time. They're gonna get fucking hemmed up if they're holding people back. And then there's units in the guard, just as active duty, where they're more slower and you could hide and you could sham and you could like just not do shit.
Yeah, I mean it's true, but I also feel like maybe even in the I'm certainly in the active duty space too. There's probably those units that you just show up and like barely do a thing and then go home.
Oh
like,
yeah,
but like it's I think I mean all in all you're gonna have great NCOs. You're gonna have terrible ones, and then you're gonna have like guys that just want to do the thing, and like yeah. But the cool thing about the guard is that you can kind of you can shop around really. Like if you like I tell all my guys and like as readiness, like a full-time readiness, and like guys, if you don't want to be here and you want to do something else, like I'll help you do something else. Like if you want to go fly helicopters, you want to go do this, you want to like I am more than happy on extending your career, like if for something you want to do. We have I think I want to say probably at least 5 guys now that like I was in the same unit with, right? And then now they're in the SF, like, and full blown 18 series, right? And that it's just like it's what you want to do, and a lot of times with like with the guard, I think if you join and you just join to be there on the weekend and don't want anything from it, you're not going to get anything from it.
Yeah,
like you really aren't. Once you get to a unit that you really like, yeah. I mean, it is really independent upon yourself, because now you're like in the guard, right? You're not doing PT, right? You're not, or you're not like doing conventional PT where every 5 o'clock you got to show up. You have to be more disciplined than that, and you have to show up to drill ready to do the thing. Like we're not holding your hand. We're not like, hey, you get 05, we're doing this, and then we're doing PT, we're doing this, right? Every day. No, like if you show up on a weekend, you're sucking. Mm-hmm. Like you fucking suck. Like and it's like, hey dude, you might want to rethink your aspect here. Like it's like we don't have time to like, yeah, like I mean I think why like that, I mean the active duty may think we're like, having some issues with stuff is because yeah, we're not doing that. But like it's really independent on the soldier. It depends all on the soldier,
yeah.
Right? So like and the leaders, right? If they're checking on their dudes and they show up and they're like, hey, I want to do this. I want to show up. I want to be the best. Like then they're going to do that. But I mean, you do have guys that show up and they're like, they're sucking ass every fucking drill. And then you're like, well, hey dude, like, I don't know, man, maybe this isn't for you. Like maybe you should join a different unit or something like that.
Do you know how to play an instrument?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. But that, I mean, and
band is pretty good too.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the guys we do have, and we've had them like move on, and they may not be the PT studs, but they show up and they, like they're like, hey, like this is a little much for me, and then they go on and they do bigger and better things elsewhere. They're passing their PT test, right? But like it's not like it's a different mindset of, and you have that opportunity in the guard, right, to move on.
Something you said made me think too, and not to play like a violin, but it is more difficult trying to like learn and grow and be a good soldier while having a civilian career. It just is when you have like only, and like it's doable. Obviously, you show up, you get good training the next month, the skills stack. But like you said, like when the soldier leaves, like you're not gonna see him. It's on them to like get in the gym and just take it upon themselves to like.
Well, it's on the leaders to check in too.
Yeah.
So I mean, we show up for drill and like that's when you're talking to people, but like. It's when you have NCOs that really do care, and you have a team or a squad, and you're checking with them like once a week, or if they are having trouble with PT, you're like, hey, over this next month, like that we're not drilling, like send me, like we do a lot of guys will do like map my run or like whatever, like hey, send me your runs like for the next month or whatever, like, and hey, you have to do XYZ. And guys will do it if they want to succeed. But you're gonna have those guys that just don't want to. But I think it lends itself to be. You're not being told what to do every day. So like it is a little more difficult, but like it really falls down to that person. Like you take a little more initiative in yourself to do the things that you need to do. That's what it comes down to. Like if you can be your own man or woman, like and be an adult about it, like then we'll treat you like adults. Like that's kind of the biggest thing. But like if you're struggling and stuff like that and you're not doing what you need to do, then hey, maybe it's not for you, you know.
To be a good leader and have longevity in the Guard, you have to care.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't happen. Like you're saying, it's that's the hardest thing. Once I became a first sergeant, was dealing with section leaders who didn't want to put in the work. Like, I'm busy. I have a civilian job. Like, well, you're a section leader. You're the head of the commo section, or you're the head of the NBC section, or like you need to be putting the time in.
Yeah.
And making sure that your soldiers are ready for drill. Like, just because you're a part-timer too, if you want to be a leader, you've got to put in the time off the clock. Like, you're not getting paid for it, but guess what? You got to be checking on your soldiers, and you got to be preparing, and you got to be talking to them and making sure that you're setting up your soldiers for success too. Because I can't do it for all your soldiers. I got all these sections, and I can't train all your soldiers for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what you need to do, and then you need to get this done. And most of them do, but every once in a while, you get a guy like you got to talk to him a few times.
Yeah.
And hey, if you don't want the responsibility, if you want the job, this guy below you he's chomping at the bit. He wants that job. You could tell, and I'll have him do your job for you, and you can sit back and take orders from the E5 while you're at E6 You know, it's I was talking to old LERP guys, and I met this guy from, I think it was Fox Company, and it was years ago, during my civilian years, between active duty and coming back in the Guard, and he was saying, no, we'd have 4 to 6 man team going out to do a alert mission in Vietnam, and it didn't matter if you were E4, E5, E6. If you're the best guy on the team, you're in charge. You're in charge of that E5 and the E6 as an E4 because you're the best at the job. And those guys want to be in charge. They better freaking step up their game and prove that they're the best leader. And he was like, no. Everybody no. This E4, he's the one. He's the patrol leader. And they go out there. And, I mean, you read the books about alerts in Vietnam. Those guys friggin'
crazy.
I went to when I first started skydiving. Went to Skydive New England up in Lebanon, Maine, and we put a group of guys together. And I brought this guy, Roger, the LERP guy, and because he wasn't airborne. The Rangers weren't airborne in Vietnam. And he took a bunch of shit from all the airborne Rangers who came after him. Like, even though he's 10 times more badass than they ever will be. And, all right, I got to finally jump out of a plane. So, hey, why don't you come up, and a bunch of my friends, we're going to go do this thing. And we did all the ground training. It was accelerated free fall class, and spent all day doing, getting into your body position. You're on a sled, and they're moving you around. You're doing your body, you check your body position going out the door and all that stuff. And they finally got him out the door. And on your first jump, you jumped with your own parachute with 2 jump masters who held on to you on either side and made sure you got stable, make sure you're checking your altitude and weight, and make sure that you pull at the right altitude. And these guys that were Rogers jump masters were like, we kept giving them the sign to arch his back, arch. And like he wasn't doing it. So he was like super unstable and just flopping around like a potato chip. And they finally hit the ground. They're like, dude, what the? And he pulled his shirt up, and he was missing a chunk out of his back, like that big.
Jesus.
It's like, yeah, I Somebody tossed a grenade. I dove in front of it to save my buddies, and I'm missing this friggin' giant. I got no muscles in my lower back, so he couldn't arch. But they were just like, oh, okay, you get a pass.
Yeah. Oh shit.
And he was missing fingers. Like,
That's crazy.
He's badass.
Yeah.
I've got a piece of that.
Same.
Yeah.
I have something I have to admit too. Sticking with the whole National Guard thing, when I first got in and I learned what the National Guard was, especially you graduate and they're like, yeah, you could go active duty or whatever. I felt less than a soldier than active duty. I did. I felt like we were beneath active duty, and I felt that way for a while. And my intent was to always go active duty, but I never did. And so the whole time I'm thinking I'm gonna go active duty anyways, and I just felt like we were beneath. And then I stayed in the Guard this whole time, and then at some point, like my brain switched over. I wasn't very cognizant of it, but it was definitely after this deployment and experiencing a National Guard unit fall underneath a National Guard unit, because I didn't even know that was possible, and just seeing so many random units from across the country come together and like function so well, and so like Texas has really good leaders and some high speed people, and we brought our own high speed individuals, and it's like I have full confidence and capabilities in the Rhode Island National Guard alone, but also like if we wanted to like just send a Guard unit to war, like I'm not gonna doubt their capabilities. Like I am.
I think it has a lot to do with the skills though, because like you have guys that like they either work in like a corporate setting, like they work like as leaders somewhere like in a different aspect of life, that they have a different aspect when they go deploy or they go do something. Like that's why, I mean, from my experience, like when I was at airborne school, like I remember like all the guys being like, oh, like how are you here? Like what unit are you with? And I'm like telling them like I'm in the LURS unit, right? And they're like, what the hell's the LURS unit? Like where? Like I'm like, oh, I'm Rhode Island. Like just like hanging out. And he's like, they're like, oh, okay. Like, and then like a year later, like I had already been to Air Assault School and Pathfinder School and like all this stuff. And I'm just like, and like you go back to like a fucking BLC or whatever the hell I went to, ALC, and they're like, what the hell? Like, how did you, do all this? And it's like, I asked. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like the schools that you can get and like the experiences you can have differ greatly from like an active duty.
I don't know. I don't know if Rhode Island is special in that way, because I
think the unit itself is pretty special.
Unit's
like,
pretty special.
Our unit's pretty special. Like,
yeah.
And we do a lot. We work hard on what we do. Yeah, and I can only really speak from like this unit, and like, I was in the SF for a little while, and then I was in aviation for all of like a month and a half or something like that. But just experiencing, actually, when I was working like doing M-Day stuff after Afghanistan, I went and worked at Electric Boat, and I worked there for almost 7 years. And then got an opportunity to go back on ADOS, and I was doing retention. So I was the retention NCO for the troop command. And that's when I had an experience to like actually go out and see the other units and how they kind of deal with things, how they like I would make it a point to like try and go to all the other units, or at least talk to guys offline. And there was a retention problem at the time, right? So it was like tough to keep people in, and I was like trying to figure out what that was. And it was like, and then when I would go to our unit, or even the 182 at the time, it would be like there's no real like you have a lot of follow through, so like you have a lot of throughput, right? So because infantry guys, right, typically like you go up to drill, like it's balls to the wall, like you're doing the thing, you're in the woods, and it is tough, right? So it's tough to do, especially coming off like a civilian career on a Friday or a Thursday, and then like you got to go back to work on Monday after not sleeping for 3 hours, like you slept for a couple hours during the weekend. and you show up to work on Monday and you're like, holy crap. Like it sucks. I mean, it really does. Like, so you do have some throughput. Like guys are like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do this, but we gain as many as we have. So like even right now, like the strength of the unit I'm in now is like we're at like 112% strength because guys are like I want to be here, right? And then I try as much as I can to really, like if guys want to move on and do something different, like I try and like wholeheartedly to like, hey, like this may be good for you. Like the state's got a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. And like from seeing the perspective of the other units, like there's so many things that the Guard has that you can't find like in an active duty piece. That's what I keep going back to, is that like you can transfer, you can go be a pilot, you can go be this, you can go be that. And it's kind of a little bit, it's very easy actually for the Guard, like the state to move people around. Whereas like an active duty, it's like a whole different thing to like PCS somewhere to be like, okay, you're going to be a pilot or whatever it is. Like it's a process, which being a pilot's a process, but it's, you know, I've done things where guys will like, I'm like, hey, why don't you try, like, oh, you want to be like an engineer, or you want to learn something or whatever. I was like, go drill with the engineers, like go hang out. Like I'll pay for the weekend. Like go hang out with the engineers and like do the thing. You know, some like it, some don't, but it's good to be able to have that ability. Yeah, I mean, I think you just gain so much from the experience of like, there's so many things you can do that I think attract people to the Guard.
Yeah. Yeah. When I remember as a recruiter, kids would be like, well, what if I don't like doing this job? And I'm like, so change.
Yeah.
Just switch it,
something else.
get a different MOS. Like,
yeah.
You could do that? I've got 5 MOSs.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, you're not locked in the Guard. It's especially easy if a small state like this where it's a 20-minute ride to go up to Providence and go check out the field artillery, or go up to Warwick and see what the MPs are doing. And there's so much diversity within the Guard, so many different things here in this state.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, if you're moving to another unit,
if you're California or Texas.
California or Texas, you're like, I got to go 4 hours across the state. You know, it makes a difference, but,
right.
You know, there is fluidity, though, which
and
is
also,
pretty good.
to be transparent, though, also, like, you know, if anyone's listening, they're looking to join the Guard and they think of changing their job 5 times a year, it also depends.
Not 5 times a year.
Right.
5 times in my career.
5 times a career. It's like, it also depends on if there's vacancy for the job that you want to switch over to. And that's probably largely it. You know, at the time, and I say that because, like, I wanted to be an infantryman, and my recruiter, Mark Paiva, great guy, I like him, friends on Facebook, was like, no, you're too smart. Go be a mechanic, because I have a degree in automotive. I was like, oh, it's brilliant. Like, I already have a degree, beef up my resume, sign on to be a mechanic. Everyone in Rhode Island wanted to be a killer. Like, I couldn't get into an infantry unit, and I was going to go active duty. So, you know, like, we're not lying, but like there are variables where that might hold you up potentially.
Well, it's the same thing I tried to do. I tried to join the LARS unit or an infantry unit, and I don't even remember. The slots were full. The slots were definitely full with the LARS. So that's how I got in as a 25 Charlie. Like I went to go interview with them. This was even before I joined, and I don't think you could do this now, but like they were like, all right, let's see what you got. Like I did like a LARS drill, and I was like, this sucks. Sign me up for some reason. I don't know. Maybe I just
this sucks.
Have misogyny. Yeah. But I don't know. It was yeah, and so I was just like, all right, I can go in as a 25 Charlie, which is like radio operator. So I went to the school, did that, and then literally got back. I was back for almost a week and a half, and then I went to infantry school, which I was like, this is like, oh, okay. So infantry school, airborne school, like, and yeah, so it's just, I guess it really is what you make of it too. I think that's the biggest thing though, is that like you can't just expect the unit to do things for you, or you can't expect things to come of it. Like if you take initiative, like really the sky's the limit with the Guard. I feel like
Yeah, if you're showing up to do the minimum, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have the like if you show up to do the minimum and you're just hanging on your phone all the time, like that's I mean, you're gonna get out what you put in, really. Like that's what I feel like. But yeah, it's for me, it's been a great experience. I mean, shit. Like even talking about like just the benefits that people know, right? So, you join any state, and their state schools are essentially free, right? You get like a voucher, right? So it's like you can go in, you can join up, right? You join Allen Island Guard, like you go to URI for free, you go to CCRI for free. You gotta pass, right? You can't just like go to any school.
Pass your
class. Yeah, pass your class.
The guard will pay for it.
The guard will pay for that stuff, which is pretty mind-boggling.
Dude, I got a degree. I don't use that at all, and I have no debt. Like I don't have like $60K I got to owe for a degree I don't ever use.
Yeah.
Talk about no debt. My daughter just graduated from Salve last weekend.
Congratulations.
And thank you. Magna cum laude.
Wow.
Pell honors. Student athlete. Completely debt-free. Doesn't owe a penny because of the post-9/11 GI Bill.
Yeah.
All I had to do was let people try to kill me for a couple years. Iraq and Afghanistan. And
small price to
boom.
pay.
She's got a free education at an amazing, amazing college. So I can't say enough about that.
The Rhode Island National Guard has, I forgot, I don't know, it's occurred to me now. I'm writing a story on one of your guys, and like it's mainly about, I'm working the titles like service and opportunity, but the Rhode Island National Guard gives you so much fucking opportunity because your guy, one of your guys, 18 years old, graduates high school, grew up in Providence, so I know what it's like. I grew up in Providence myself, and he didn't want to go to school, it wasn't his thing. Goes to infantry school, airborne school, RTEC, RTLI, does the hula stuff, comes back, he's like, hey, in 3 months, you're going to deploy. Holy shit, 18 years old, deploys, goes to a country where it's like literally people are trying to kill each other, and he's like, his job is like hold the line, and then he gets to get paid to take 2 weeks vacation, and he's traveling Europe, and now he's coming back, and now he's got connections, he's got World War experience, he's got money in the bank, and he's also like, talk to his team leaders, helping him get, a professional job as an HVAC, and now he's 19. Opportunities are there in the Guard.
Well, the other thing too is that like when you join the Guard, like everybody in that unit, for the most part, like has a civilian career.
Yeah.
So like I've seen guys show up to a unit, have nothing really going for them, like civilian or career wise. And then they're like, oh, hey, Joe's a elevator dude, or hey, this dude's a HVAC dude. Why don't you just hit up with him? Or this guy runs
opportunities are amazing.
This guy runs a construction company. Like, why don't you go work for him this summer? See if you want to do that. Like, and shit, like all the time. I see it all the time. Is that guys they end up in a certain career where they're somebody says something or helps them just a little bit. And they flourish. They do great things. Like, and just the networking that you can have with the Guard, like it's pretty insane because you can see there's people in every facet of the community. Like whether you want to be a cop, firefighter, electrician, HVAC, like it's just there's a lot of that, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild to see. Yeah,
nailed it.
Yeah.
Well, if you get kids who they come in, I want to get on a police force. Like, half the units are cop. Like,
talk to this dude who actually does the hiring.
City,
you're just like, all right.
Yeah, it's the networking opportunities in the Guard are amazing. So
I think it's just like active duty because I've known so many guys who active duty has its own opportunities. So many guys go in, they do the 3 years, they hate it, and they get out and they don't really have anything to show for it. They were just there. And it's the same thing with the Guard. Some people just, sign up, they show up, don't really do anything, and then they get out, and it's like, I don't really have anything. But it's like the opportunities are there. And like I have had so many experiences that like even other soldiers never experienced because, being in public affairs, there's certain jobs that, whatever. And it's like, I would never gotten that if it wasn't for the National Guard. So I owe it all to the National Guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even like almost dying, you know, aside from like almost dying, like that was a really good
but you
deployment.
could talk about your thing, right? So
Yeah.
you joined, you joined a Rhode Island Guard, and then you hear of another Guard unit deploying, and you're like, all right,
I
like,
want to go.
I want to go.
You know,
So-
fight Taliban with them, and they let me.
So yeah, but like you can do that.
Yeah.
Like we have a dude now that was out with the unit for a long time. Like he's doing a tour to duty. I think he's on his like 3rd tour or something like that. Like in Germany, like, and he's just doing the title 10 thing, but like they liked him, so they kept him over there. Like he's got a whole pretty much career set up. Like he's got all these connections and stuff like that, and it's an experience for the, like, it's not really the Guard per se, but like it's getting you through that door and like putting your foot in the door and kind of getting you going. It's pretty wild.
And here's an objective thought, and this is not, my intent is not to bash active duty, but it's, in some ways it's easier just to leave. 'Cause sometimes you should, for whatever your circumstances, just leave, better leave your environment. But sometimes it's easier just to leave, and then like active duty is going to take care of your housing and your job. Like you're not gonna get fired, you're going to have another job, and then you're just going to, for X amount of years, you're just going to be good, you know? In a lot of ways, it's harder to like stay here and like make things happen.
Well, because you have a stability, right? So you're in the active duty. Like you have a job.
Yeah.
You have
Safety
housing.
net.
You have food. Like you
TFAC.
can't. Like a lot of guys, I mean, they get off active duty and they're like, "Oh shit!" Like nobody's feeding me.
gotta
Nobody's
pay
telling me where
rent
to get up.
and
Nobody's telling me
utilities
this. Like,
and groceries. What?
but yeah, I mean, like I think the guys that do well are in the Guard are the ones that like do well in civilian life too. Like so, it's a really it's a different aspect. I think you have to be a strong person to be able to like show up for drill and then show up and do your job, like your civilian job.
Doesn't help that we're all full time right now.
Yeah, but I mean, I know I did it. I feel like I did it long enough where I did, you know, I was like probably, 7-8 years working at EB. Like, I mean, I was working every weekend, like clocking in, clocking out. Like it just happened to work out that like this job opportunity opened up, and I was like, and I had made those connections with the Guard, right? So I, you know, talked to people in the Guard, and then like, if I wouldn't have had a full-time job if I didn't, if I didn't push and be the person I feel like I was then, or I am now. So yeah, it's a really independent thing, but it just worked out that way. Like I had no intentions of going active duty Guard, and but you know, it worked out, and yeah.
Guard's probably better off if you're older and established, because then you're still able to serve the community, get some good training, especially obviously if you're a senior NCO, you know, mentor. Probably like if you're younger, definitely active duty. Get out there.
Yeah, but you said it yourself, right? You have a dude that was 18 years old, right? And then he goes and does a thing, and then now he's an HVAC tech and like doing like all this crazy stuff. Like, I mean, that's pretty young.
Yeah, especially
You know?
you know, maybe I don't know, if, you know, not his case, but if some kid wanted to be a lawyer or whatever. It's kind of hard to do, you know, active duty. I would assume.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, First Sergeant? Sorry, we were just.
It's I mean there's the AMED program. There's Guard's a great way to go through med school.
Yeah.
Who was it? Brian Morey.
Maury, yeah.
He was an E4 on that mission that they tried to bait me into that village that night. He was WAG's gunner that night, or driver. He was the driver, and but he was an E4, and then he came back and went to PA school, and the Army paid for it. And now he was a flight surgeon, and now he's a doc up at Special Operations Detachment. Like he's just made lieutenant colonel.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. So there's all those opportunities. JAG is always hiring lawyers.
Yeah.
And those guys are direct commissioning, going to a short kind of Army orientation, basic, condensed thing, and teach you the basics of being a soldier. But there's ways to become a professional. as a Guard member. And depending on what state you're in, some of them have dental programs, some of them have veterinary programs. There's so many opportunities for you to go out there and learn a skill. Like I should have been a guided missile repairman, because those jobs are everywhere these days.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of opportunity for getting training and going to school, and got all kinds of soldiers. Guys that I was recruiter with earned their degrees while online, or going to night school or whatever while they were a recruiter. And just there's so many opportunities. I can't even. It used to be you had to. If you pick this job, then we'll give you this much money, and it's and then as the war went on, more and more things like the post 9/11 GI Bill and the Chapter 35, the Chapter 37, and there's all these different education benefits, and then all members of the Guard can go to the state schools for free, and I mean, unless you just don't care, you can't come out of here without something. Now that I'm, the VA rated me 100% permanent total, based on my 850-page medical file, but I'm taking some knocks and some bangs and breaks and tears, and they're like, "Don't worry about it. We're going to pay for you to go back to school, even though you gave away your GI Bill to your kid. We're still gonna pay for you now. If you want to go to school, we'll pay for you to get an education.
Yes,
we'll pay for you to go to technical school, go to college, get a degree. Yeah, I mean, where else? What other company's going to do that for you?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I was talking because like I said, I always kind of wanted to be a pilot, and I was talking to one of the pilots at the aviation union. He's like, "Use that VA stuff to go get your pilot's license." Okay, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to do it if I had gone to work for myself, or stayed in the carpentry business or restaurant business or music business. That's fun, but you're not getting benefits from it.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild experiences. Yeah.
Any regrets you wish you would have done differently in your military career?
I think I was just telling the story over the weekend. There was one summer they used to do ROTC advanced camp out at Fort Lewis, and one summer I was teaching ROTC cadets on the OP to formulate a call for fire, call for it, adjust fire. And they bring in a morning class and then an afternoon class. We did that. I think it was like 13 days on, 1 day off for the whole summer as they rotated these guys through. And one day I'm sitting there, and this full bird colonel sitting in my class, didn't say a word, just sitting there paying attention. And we break for chow. He come back, new class comes in. He's sitting there amongst the cadets again. And and then at the end of the day, "Hey, good job, Sergeant Davis." The next day he comes back, he sits in again, and I'm like, "What's going on here?" Finally, at the end of it, he's like, "Hey, I'm Colonel so-and-so. I'm the commandant at New Mexico Military Institute. And I think you're an amazing instructor. You know your stuff. You're extremely professional. I want you to come to NEMI and run my Ranger Challenge team and be an instructor there." And I was like, okay. On active duty, that would be my job, is teaching at a college, military academy. But so we talked about it throughout the next couple of weeks, but then he hit me with the I want you to do that for a few years, and then I want you to enroll and become a commissioned officer. And I was like, nope. No, I'd never never wanted to do that. I've always just liked being on the ground with the Joes, and leading from the front, not from a desk or from in the rear somewhere. No, I appreciate it, but and then I was like, I could have gone and just been like, yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to enroll. I don't want to be an officer, and at least gotten the experience of. But oh well. And then I always, when I was at Second Bat, it was every year they'd come around and SF would be trying to poach.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, we'd go run around Fort Lewis and we'd run down by First Group's barracks and yell about prima donna hippies, wannabes. And so we were raised from privates. Like, you don't want to be them. They got no discipline. They got freaking hippies. But that would have been good. A lot of the best leaders we had ended up going to SF, and some of my friends ended up going to Delta, and there were so many opportunities. Once you get in that special operations family, but lots of good training, lots of great opportunities, lots of shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah.
But I'd do it. I mean, if I could do it all over again, I would do it all over again, and then take it a little bit further, probably, and maybe stayed in instead of getting out. I remember sitting on the airfield in Samara with Jim Georgie. He was my roommate over there, and I looked at the calendar, looked at the date, and I was like, oh, today marks my 20 years from when I first enlisted. I would have been retired 20 years today. And here I am sitting on a freaking some shithole freaking east of Samara.
Oh, man.
But, oh, well.
Well, you're here now.
Yeah.
Well, for our Sergeant, I guess we're wrapping it up, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just have to say, like, I mean, congratulations. It's well-deserved retirement. And hope you go on and do bigger, better things.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're gonna share. I'm gonna share this on YouTube. You know, I'll probably share on Facebook, and people could have the link. That being said, Facebook's a small world. If you want, got this camera, you got anything you want to say to anybody in the ring? Closing it out.
Sorry, put him on the spot there. Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. We didn't say anything about the Air Guard. I don't know enough about it.
Yeah,
So
the Air Guard's cool. Yeah,
I have no idea
anything
about the Air Guard, but
I
it's
wasn't
part of Rhode Island.
I wasn't trying to knock them.
No, I know. I was just thinking about it. I was like,
they have all the money and all the good stuff.
You know, we can do that next time. We'll do the recruiters job. Yeah,
find an Air Guard.
We'll bring an Air Guard and be like, why should I go? And then they'll get an officer. Be like, why should we go officer?
Yeah, get an officer.
All right, but yeah, do you have anything you want to close out with, First Sergeant?
I mean, I appreciate you having me here. I appreciate the years I've had in the Guard and all the great people I've met. Missions, soldiers. It's been pretty awesome. I wouldn't mind coming back maybe sometime and share you some of my First Sergeant's leadership commandments and things that I learned along the way. Maybe we do some of that one time.
Definitely. Yeah.
I've given that class a couple times to the guys over at Aviation. Actually had leaders call it like, hey, can you send that to me? I want to give that to my soldiers. I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, leadership skills. We'll do that sometime. But I'll be out of uniform, but still love soldiers, still love the Guard, still love the Army. I'm hoping to take this. We didn't talk about my full-time job now as the PERSEC manager, personnel security. Been doing that for the past 8 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Next week you're retiring, so cheers.
Well,
yeah, cheers.
All right.
Happy retirement.
Thank you.
All right, that is a wrap.